Hey guys, it's Matt. Mostly there's not much to see here in this video. It's going to just be me doing mostly subscriber email. But if you're operating the forklift, some posters came in recently from Bill, and it's good. He'll start us out on a lighter note. You want to pull the forklift over and take a close look at these two. I'll be back in a minute. I hear you. You're saying we don't want no bald guy in a sweatshirt talking. I want more of that. It takes Bill a long time to do that. It's very complicated. It takes him a long time, and there's many posters I haven't shown you yet. So thank you, Bill. But the last one, the Thelma and Louise, it's literal. It's if you're Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, it's literally no different than voting Thelma or Louise. Thing 1 or Thing 2 from Dr. Seuss. What else comes to mind? Spy versus Spy, the white spy versus the black spy from Mad Magazine. Any sort of idiot or idiotic two sides of a coin, see, it's the same coin. We know this. You're Matt, Pootie Tang Award. I mean, who are you talking to here? But the people still can't see it. No matter who they put in, even if they really count votes, maybe they do. Why wouldn't they count votes? The agenda and what's going to happen over the next 4 years is already laid and scripted out. The way like an NFL coach scripts the first 10 plays in the first quarter, it's exactly scripted out what will happen on the world stage. So why wouldn't they let people really vote? And maybe whoever they really vote, they count the votes for real. Why not? And then put in whoever. What will change? Well, the only thing that changes for them is their ability to create, and this is very important to them, the ability to create a loose energy for themselves and controversy. And I think Donald Trump, in terms of creating controversy and anger and ire in people, is the clear winner. If he loses, as you would say, as Albert Pike has already laid it down, if he, quote, loses, do it like Dr. Evil, then all that stuff with the 34 felony counts, and nobody cares anymore. It becomes irrelevant. If he wins, then you have the additional controversy and the sentencing will be several weeks after. Will there be jail time for the president before his inauguration? If somebody literally put this in a B movie storyboarded script and gave it to a director or producer, it would be thrown out. They would say nobody would believe this. But, quote, it's happening for real. It's happening for real, and your cousin believes it. And your father and uncle and brother and sister and uncle, sister's brother, cousin's nephew believes it. Oh, my God. And see how Bill put at the bottom of the poster, either way, it's going off the cliff. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if a cat's driving, Thelma, Louise, it doesn't matter. It's going off the cliff. That's why we jumped off the ship of fools a long time ago. Let me make sure this is recording properly. I wanted to talk about what came in from Gary not too long ago. It says, regarding Not Nilk, has Not Nilk always been here? Not Nilk seems to be a people-oriented phenomenon, not derived from nature. I agree. In observing plants, insects, animals in the natural world seems to find a balance. And there's two parts of that. Has Not Nilk always been here? And Gary touches on the second one without stating it as a separate question, but we'll talk about it. It seems to be a people-oriented phenomenon. Yes. So question one is, has it always been here? Not Nilk, in my opinion, yes. It is part of this reality system as it was originally designed for your experience as a real spirit. But as a reflection of ourselves, how that absolutely. it's a reflection of ourselves. How much is not milk derived and is actually a reflection of, say, the frequency of the people? Even if it's responsible for lowering the frequency of the population, it seems to its sustenance is derived from real people, from the population. We've talked many times, this bad guy here can't exist without us. So let's just start with the easy part first. Easy for me, at least in my opinion. You may disagree. Has the not milk always been here? Absolutely. I mean, just go back through the history that we're given, the history that we know. How much of you believe in it or not, it really doesn't matter, because we'll agree on at least certain parts of it. So go back through whatever is presented to be the Knights Templar or all the ancient power structures, the asshole kings and queens and emperors and dukes and earls and aristocracy. Go back to they talk about the time of Jesus. You have the same asshole infrastructure basically in place in the form of the Romans and that asshole Pontius Pilate and everything they did in prosecuting Jesus. The power structure, it has a different level of technology and capability. But to me, I don't see any difference. I think it has more tools to work with now in terms of its new knuckle bones is the technology. But, again, go back as far as you want. These ancient Egyptian pharaohs, how much ever you believe in that as they're described, probably just the same asshole. So it's always been here, but in my opinion, unlike others in our community, it was designed as part of this reality. A good movie needs a bad guy. For you to learn and do what you need to do here, to overcome, to raise up your frequency, you need a bad guy that's trying to hold you down. If there wasn't a bad guy, there'd be nothing to learn. We've been over this a million times, and those triggered by the word school. So has it always been here? Yeah, of course, no matter how much of past history you believe or not. The part that really we'll have a big disagreement on, or maybe we won't, is how much is derived from us or is a reflection of the frequency or emotional state of the real spiritual beings that are here. In the YouTube channel 88 Finus Temporis and the movies he breaks down and what he digs into, a lot of his YouTube videos regarding what he notices in movies is regarding the reflection. The mirror constantly comes up. What does this mean? Why is it always a reflection? And he'll stop and pause it in the videos, showing that the director went out of their way, or the writer, to show that there's a mirror here. And it relates to what we're talking about, because this not milk, it really is a mirror of where it's who we are, how it's lowered our frequency. So it's kind of hard to wrap your head around it. It's hard to talk about. If it's derived from real people, or forget the word person, real spiritual beings, I'm going to use the word people from time to time, like Humpty Dumpty. It means what I say it means. It doesn't mean no corporate term. If it's derived and it can't exist without us, then how is it able to work on us, to lower us, to get us to believe this bad guy is whatever, or to give all this negative frequency and energy out, so the presidential elections get more ridiculous, things just break down further. If it's derived from us, which we all kind of, the old guard's like, yeah, it is in some way. It needs us. It needs the real spiritual beings here to exist. Most of the old guard are shaking their head like, yeah, we sense that. So then how is it able to then work on us, or it plays its trick, influence us via its trick and its ruse, so then we give it more energy. We lower our frequency even further. Then the society and the culture breaks down even further around us. And we get things like what Bill put in his poster. He was in his poster, he was honoring the they, them. And I think Bill should start a movement to actually change the official title of good fellas. That back part, fellas, that's offensive. There's all types in the mob. So I hope they change that title soon. So as it breaks down society and culture, then it's like a repeating loop. But we're responsible for it breaking down. And if it not milk is derived from us, then how can it work us over and actively be successful in lowering us, in getting us lower? So then we reflect back on society. It goes down. It's complicated. It is, and we'll never truly figure it out while we're in this body. But question one. Answer: has it always been here? Sure. It's part of the original design of the reality. It's not hijacked, as you've heard me talk about a million times. The second part, is it a reflection of real beings? Yes. Maybe again that's what all the mirror symbolism is for in the movies. And maybe it's like, to me, I see it like a game. I don't have a better way of describing it. This thing is allowed to exist here. Its role is to, like a game, to get the population of real spirits to a certain low level. Maybe if it gets there, game over, you win. We didn't think you could do it, Not Milk. You lowered all this little group here that was breaking free, this little group that left the ship of fools via its rowboats. They left and they won for themselves, but that's just a little tiny win inside of a gigantic game. Overall, Not Milk, we were surprised. You did it. You lowered everybody down. Then game over. We had to end that reality system, and we'll start another game. Maybe we could say these people that jumped off the back of that ship of fools, they're like mini winners, mini game within the game winners. They can get the hell out of here. They don't have to do this anymore. But the other idiots that fell for it, that went out in a few weeks and voted for Thelma or Louise, when they're in the same convertible together, they go over the same cliff together, they'll have to do it again, or that aspect of their higher self they didn't do enough. They didn't see through any part of the trick. Maybe. So it's always been here. It's part of the reality system from day one, and it's a reflection of us in some way. That's there's a lot to talk about there. We'll continue to talk about it. And I see a minute back I made some mistakes, and I just want to talk about some of the comments from the mythology video, the last video. Few people I removed from the channel. One was, it's unbelievable.
Matt, how are we supposed to take advice about reality from you and how the nature of reality, you can't even pronounce words. Adontis, you kept saying, Adontis.
It's Adonis, you idiot. First off, did you ever think I might know that? Did you ever think even if I make the mistake, I might have caught myself mentally, but then I continue to go with it like a stanta? You don't think you don't think I can I'm not intelligent enough or adult enough to understand words? I think it's probably possible that the first time I make the mistake, I continue to go with it because sometimes it can be funny. And at the very least, I catch trolls like you. I can get them the hell out of here. There was another comment that I left. It was, it's not Gail Gadot, Matt. It's Gail Gadot or so. Oh, really? I had no idea. I had no idea. I for 40 years I've been saying, you waiting for a Gadot? You waiting for Godot? I had no idea. I think I left that idiot comment just to make a point. And also, if you're talking on the fly, I didn't have no script. I could do a whole script for the mythology video over an hour. It would take me about a week to write it out like a mini book. If you want one video a week where every word Astanta is announced, you can't even say that right, you idiot, is pronounced accurately. Everything's perfect. I'll do one video a week. But if it's on the fly, and I'm just looking down at a picture of Saturn trying to eat his own children, he's trying to eat Zeus, but it's a rock. Hera put a damn rock in a blanket. That idiot is eating if you do it on the fly, I'm doing the video, talking to the microphone, looking at a book, and then, Aphrodite was in love with Adontis. Is that really a fucking big deal? I'm going to continue to do more of it so I can identify the trolls that just can't help themselves. We can get rid of them. One other thing that Gary mentioned that I wanted to talk about is that he said nature creates a balance. And this is similar to the way I see it is similar to the way Tony described it, that he called it the game board. The natural world here is like the game board. This not milk is an invader or something that sits over the game board, but it's supposed to be here, as I said, not a true hijacker. But that's when I used to use the term several months ago, the plumber's ass crack that sits over reality, that sits over the natural world. The natural world is the game board here. Not Nilk is, in my opinion, is in no way associated with the natural world, which is out to create. It can be very brutal, it can be very harsh, but it does create a balance. It creates a best case scenario for all. It works symbiotically in a way together. That's separate. Not Nilk sits on top of something that creates this balance, and it tries to take everything out of balance. I mean, it's very similar to maybe in a way the architect was described in the Oracle. One is meant in the Matrix. One is meant to create balance, and one is there to upset balance. And the Oracle is very similar to Not Nilk in the Matrix. The Oracle, if you watch it once or twice, you think, oh, this nice old woman is working for Morpheus and trying to help. No, she's not. Completely selfish. Used Neo the whole way. Used Neo to carry forth the anomaly, or to implant the anomaly back into the Matrix so it could reset itself to benefit the architect and the Oracle. Played them the whole time. Likely cared nothing about Neo. And at the end, the architect, they're sitting there friendly. The architect says, a dangerous game you played. So she played it. She did some things that maybe she didn't share with the architect, but there they are as friends at the end after, most of the inhabitants of Zion have been killed by the robots. Anyway, this isn't about the Matrix. So the natural world does work to create balance, and the Not Nilk seems to work to take away the balance and not targeting that ability to take something out of balance or remove it from its natural frequency from the natural world, targeting us, of course. So by that rationale, maybe we are also a key to the natural world. I don't know how much of this reality we're responsible for, but one thing that was very interesting during C the V years, the stories about how the swans, within just weeks, started to come back to the canals of Venice. And we noticed the skies they looked like the skies we remembered from the 1970s. But the first one to me, and I'll never forget, is the stories about the swans and the birds coming back to the once polluted canals of Venice. So the first thing I took away from that is just this world, whatever this earth is, has a ability to regenerate itself far more quickly than what a scientist, I believe, would understand, or what they believe this world is. It is, to me, a natural living organism, and we're like cells, and it is alive collectively. It's not a coincidence that as you go smaller, the cells work together to create organs, and then the organ systems work together to create something bigger, and then people they're in communities and societies, and then it always gets bigger. The small always works to create something larger, and we're part of that. Whatever that larger thing is now, we're part of it here. But it's very regenerative. You can't even say that, you idiot. It regenerates itself very quickly, and I think this was a real story, or it was a story that the Not Nilk had to put out for the first few months of CV 2020, because it has to expose truth, or just it seems one of the contracts, or what's in it's by contract it needs to do this from time to time. So it's like what is his name in Egg Chen in Big Trouble in Little China. Look, Jack, the black blood of the earth. They're underground. It looks like a river of oil. Jack, you mean oil, Egg? No, I mean the black blood of the earth. Maybe oil itself is the black blood of the earth. It's a living system. I mean, there's no, whatever your definition of living is. And in just a few weeks of the tourists staying home and the industry shutting down, the story about the swans coming back, or the skies looking like we remembered, and things just in a few weeks. To me, that is how it's able to regenerate itself. So the scientific explanation, of course, all the scientists and all the big university research parks, they believe in every bit of Al the Boar and what he presents and what Musk's presents.
You can't say that.
Elon Musk, they think we're going to need to really get these spaceships going because someday we may need to live on Mars, but that's lifeless now and we're not lifeless. So you want to go from a planet that has life to lifelessness, and that's a way of escaping the lifelessness, but where you're going to go is lifeless. It don't make no sense. Well, it's not meant to make any sense. But the scientists, they all buy into it that eventually it may come to that, because they don't even understand, in my opinion, what this is, where they have no idea where we are, the living system of what it is, how it's able to regenerate. Not Nilk knows, okay, as usual, Not Nilk knows. Not Nilk maybe doesn't even understand its own nature, but it understands this place. It knows how to pull the reality buttons and levers. It knows everything in terms of how things work here. It knows nobody can get into a star-kissed tuna fish can and with rockets and laser blasters and go fly around in Elon Musk's roads. It knows what space is, and it knows that this place, the living nature of it. It knows how it can regenerate, and the scientists and the entire research community, we've talked about this many times, is meant to be fooled and meant to believe the data that this gigantic reality trick puts back or gives back to its senses and its experimental data and its devices for experiment. To me, it's all part of the trick. Just because it comes in from a $10 million machine or telescope and it tells the senses, which already are fooled and tricked with bias, and even the image you see is upside down and the brain has to flip it. The color of something that you see is not a true color. A banana is not yellow. It's every color but yellow. Yellow is what it reflects back and what you see, but that's not what it is. It's every color but yellow. Even what you see is a lie. So if scientists conducting experiments with expensive equipment, well, this data's got to be that they're convinced, they're brainwashed that this data has to be correct and it's objective. Nothing's objective, because to me the entire reality is a trick. But so not Nilk, the scientists at the university research parks are fooled, of course, 99%. Not Nilk knows. It knows everything in terms of how this place works, and it's fun to play this out. And once every few years, one of these scientists, in my opinion, I have no idea, I haven't heard anything, nobody's emailed me, it just would have to work this way. It could be a cure for a disease. One of these scientists or researchers gets a clue as to what this place really is, or how it works, or doesn't understand how this reality works, but has a cure. Here's how sharks are not don't get cancer. They've known it for over 100 years. Sharks don't get cancer. To me, they've known for over 100 years why certain animals don't get certain diseases. And in 1960, in my opinion, they had the ability to apply what they know to what they call the human. So Not Nilk knows what this place is and how it works. And what I was saying was, somebody stumbles upon a breakthrough, what they consider to be a breakthrough, what Not Nilk has already known. Probably. Do you think Pontius Pilate knew it? Probably. Maybe not. But their ability to control the populations have increased in terms of what it is and their role. Maybe, but it doesn't matter. It's always been here. And somebody stumbles upon something at a university research lab. And this is where, it's fun to play it out. They should, if anybody's listening to me, like, say, J.J. Abrams, you should make a movie about this. The black limousine shows up. And it's kind of like the Ed Harris character in A Beautiful Mind. And, I'm not sure how they express upon the person that made the breakthrough that they're not supposed to be dabbling at such things. We've talked about this recently, I remember, but I'm still going to continue to do it. It's so fascinating. We talked about it in terms of somebody having a medical breakthrough and them trying to get the information to the New England Journal of Medicine, thinking that that's an objective publication. And the person, the men in black saying, that why don't you just take this $5 million payment or $10 million or whatever it is. If it's a medical cure or breakthrough, they have no issue with, they can create as much money as they want. There's never a budgetary concern. Here's $500 million, whatever it would take. And they'll say, you give us your data, don't continue to work on it. It's in our hands now. We'll make sure it gets to the people, of course. We'll make sure the people benefit from your breakthrough. They could convince the person of that. We're the government. Of course we're going to use what you came up with here at your university research lab. We're going to use it to benefit people's lives. Who do you think we are? And then if the person was, without the $500 million check or cashier's check on the table, if they just stopped to think, they could say, well, you've never done anything to benefit anybody. I'm keeping. So look, people do have breakthroughs. Scientists have breakthroughs. And for lack of understanding how it works, the men in black must show up, take it away, promise it will be used to benefit people. It never is, of course. And can the person, two things are happening. Can they turn down the $500 million being pushed across the table? And the other thing is they promise that they'll use it to benefit. Whatever you did here, we're going to benefit. Well, it's going to be such a great thing for people. They probably believe it because deep down, these researchers trust government. I mean, why anybody would do that? It must be some sort of mental disorder. I don't know. But then the last part is they probably get a sense that it's not quite Don Corleone sitting in the room, but like, going to make you an offer you can't resist. So they kind of get the sense that we pretty much have to do this, I guess. A little nudge that, there could be some consequences if they push back. So the Not Nilk is an expert at planting or getting researchers and scientists and those actually trying their best to come up with medical cures. In the truth community, we have this notion that too many people are in on it. That, these even, cosmologists at universities are in on it. Or no, everybody's. That's the ingenious of what Not Nilk's been able to do. 99.999 whatever percent. I mean, almost everybody is doing their best. But Not Nilk has seen to it, so they continue to push society and culture into a place that lowers the frequency and the vibration for everyone, to put the false breadcrumbs out in enough places so the science doesn't really seem to ever go anywhere. And again, just the scenario that we just talked about, when there is a breakthrough, a free energy. Of course, I don't guarantee, how do I know? But come on, there's people on YouTube that talk about free energy devices. I don't think those YouTube videos last very long. We've seen hundreds pop up over the years. So some guy with his forge or something in the backyard they're university research labs at the University of Alabama and Princeton and Stanford. They have these breakthroughs all the time. Maybe not all the time, but they've free energy cures, and somehow the Not Nilk knows how to make sure it goes nowhere, or in its last resort is to offer big money to take everything over. And something like that similar could have very much happened with Facebook. Maybe it didn't have everything perfectly storyboarded out, and it got very early on through. I mean, we see in the movie The Social Network, there's probably little truth drops. We see Sean Parker originally of Napster or something. He just slept in some girl's dormitory or whatever. He's some 25-year-old hanging out with the college kids, and he sees Facebook. And he's like, can I borrow your laptop? She's in the shower. And he sees the potential of it, and he sees what it could be. And maybe this is a truth drop. This is Not Nilk. And Not Nilk, whatever unsophisticated bot it had combing the internet at that time through its web crawler, said, maybe Sean Parker is supposed to be Not Nilk in that scene. And it said, what's this? Holy heck. People are... they're basically a way to make friends and communicate with each other through these networks. And Not Nilk said, we can't have this. We can't. And it sent its Sean Parker in there, or it sent its handler to guide the process and get in that whole. As I'm thinking about it, I've seen The Social Network several times. Excuse me. It does seem like a giant truth drop as to how Not Milk would get involved, sending somebody in like Sean Parker. And in the movie, Zuckerberg is very naive, and he's just bowing. That Eduardo Saverin is like, you're bowing down to everything this shyster, this charlatan says. You're just worshiping Sean Parker, and he's planting in the mind of Zuckerberg. Don't think millions, think billions, and it's going to be so big. And that's likely, in my opinion, what Not Milk did, or potentially did to Zuckerberg. Many in our community, of course, think that Zuckerberg is a Rothschild and it's all bloodlines and it was all storyboarded out. And there's a lot of merit to somebody that's going to take it that far. I mean, we see the whole reality, the histories in some way. It was Albert Pike storyboarded out to some degree. But there's also, there's also a lot of variables in this world. And the more I think about, Zuck the Borg and the social network and his sweet baby Rays and his big green egg grilling, it could be, the Not Milk went, whoa, what is this? Look how these people potentially have the way to communicate and to break our mind control. We can't have that. So it was just also perfect how MySpace went away very, very, very quickly. Of course, Not Milk called owner who owns Fox Inc. Rupert Murdoch. It doesn't matter the name of the overall corporation. Maybe it is just Fox, but Rupert Murdoch bought MySpace and then, of course, immediately destroyed it and ruined it. Rupert Murdoch, of course, got a call from Not Milk to buy it, or is Not Milk, buy it and destroy it. Yeah, his corporation at the time was called News Corp. So News Corp was meant to destroy MySpace, and then there was that Friendster, which, at one point, I remember watching an interview with the founder of Friendster saying somebody told him, I think it was on Oprah Winfrey or something, that he could get $1 billion for it, and he said, no, I'm not going to sell. And then just 6 months to a year later, I mean, I don't know if it still exists, but nobody uses Friendster. I mean, it just went away. I mean, maybe Not Milk, maybe it was easy for Not Milk, just came in and, he did say no way to the money, but maybe he got a Don Corleone offer that he couldn't refuse. So, we all agree in our truth research community, first grade, fifth grade, we all agree that, that they saw how powerful Facebook, how they could use it, and it was artificially brought to prominence. All the other competitors were removed, and it just seems like, because there were other competitors, it just seems like Not Milk didn't plan this one from the start. It might have really been Zuckerberg's creation, really raw and just the idea itself was very dangerous to Not Milk, and they came in and took it over. It doesn't really matter. We might have slight disagreement on how that went down, whether Zuckerberg is a bloodline, and it was always meant to be. Does it really matter? We could have a fun argument over a few beers. Say, well, why did News Corp buy MySpace? Why was MySpace so big for 5 years before? It was Not Milk just testing different things. Matt, they have to test multiple platforms, and they picked the one that they saw. I just don't see it that way. I think it's a truth drop in the Social Network movie. Sean Parker. This is an agent for Not Milk. It might not even have been Sean Parker. It might have been the way that Not Milk reacted. The girls in the shower. He's like, "What is this?" And then, of course, in the movie, he's just this genius entrepreneur. And within 10 seconds, Sean Parker saw the possibilities of what it could become. And that's, to me, that's what Not Milk did with Facebook. But we could argue about it. But in most of the areas that are important, we disagree. We agree. We agree. I mean, we agree. Remember I called everybody insane? If you're listening to this, no, you're one of the last insane groups that exists. I mean, sane. It might have been, who knows? Sometimes we all fall under the Not Milk influence to a degree, or maybe drank a little too much fluoride. I'm very good at catching my mistakes. That's why when it's a stanta, maybe I'm just saying that. I'm pretty good at it. Usually I catch my mistakes. I go, but I didn't catch that at all. And it was brought to my attention. You called everybody insane. I went, what? That's impossible. There's no way. And I did. I played it back and I said, if you're listening to this, know you're one of the last insane groups that exist anywhere in the world. And Not Milk made you do that, Matt. You don't have. None of us have complete control. I think we fight it. You're right. I mean, we do have to fight. Usually we're in control, I think, but sometimes you never know. Like what did Carl Jung talked about Philemon, his little imaginary friend like Megan, but Megan was a little robotic friend that became a little demonic thing. Philemon was his imaginary friend, and Philemon said to Carl Jung, your thoughts, they're not your own. Don't think for a second. And every time I have a thought that's just really bizarre, like why would I possibly think that? I mean, that happens to all of us. I go, Philemon, just it's the way I deal with things. Not just that's Philemon. So he's telling me that thought was not my own. Yeah, it's not. There's a lot of merit to that too. If you have some weird thought, or all of a sudden, I don't even want to. We all have them, and we just say that's not coming from my true nature. You're in the body. Is that your true nature? No, this whole reality is out to fool you that your real self is this. And of course, it's not this. And part of what we have to do for part 2 of the work is ferreting out and sifting through the parts of us that are authentic and real and the parts that are not real, and bringing the ones that are authentic and true and spiritual to the forefront, or have them rise up in terms of control over ego, and pushing the others down, demoting ego from a general or a brigadier general down to a private or down to a corporal. Not to say the ego's evil and you got rid of it. It's necessary in this place. We'd all be eaten alive without an ego. The little nerdiest kid in the world who sits in the back of the class, he or she has an ego. Deep down he knows he's the greatest computer programmer in the school, as an example, and knows that just in these areas, she will say to themselves, even the little nerd in the back of the class, I'm so much smarter than these idiots, these jock idiots that think throwing a pigskin football around is. So there's ego in everybody. It's necessary in this place, but it needs to be controlled instead of it controlling you. And we all, Pootie Tang Award, right? Yeah, I hear you. So there was some other things here. Definitely, I wanted to talk about. So maybe it's time to go back to the emails. Let's talk a few more minutes about Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, and say the Not-Nilk differences, or the Not-Nilk's approach to both. 45-second recap for those outside the United States. Hurricane Helene was, say, about 3 weeks ago, maybe a little bit more. It was flooding devastation in North Carolina, South Carolina, parts of Georgia, and maybe small parts of the west coast of Florida. The news after those events was, for the most part, accurate. Greg lives in South Carolina. The towns that they say in South Carolina that kind of got washed away because the entire river came over its banks, that it hasn't done for 100 years, and washed most of the town away, that's accurate. That is not overhyped. That is, for the most part, accurate, according to Greg and others. Now, for Helene 3 weeks ago, for these areas, how many people did the Not-Nilk warn about this? Nobody. How many people did it say, leave your home or flee or go to a higher ground and help, right? Go to another state? Or nobody, for the most part. There was, they said a hurricane was coming, but in terms of what could happen, there was no warning, for the most part, given. Now, for Milton, roughly, was it 7 to 10 days ago at this point? I don't know, it's like that one it's vaguer to me. It's strange when it happened. 7 to 10 days ago, I guess. That, the pre-hurricane hype was like nothing anybody's ever seen before. There's no storm in the history of the world that had the pre-hurricane hype. They had millions of people looking to drive inland or drive up north to Jacksonville or Tallahassee to leave their homes behind. People started to leave their homes behind up to 3 days before. There were stories we've heard of the weather people shedding a tear or crying. I saw something like that, but I don't think it was the famous one. I saw a weather person get choked up. We were expecting via this Category 5 monster that people were expecting that big swaths of Central Florida would be like the way the wasteland was portrayed in The Road Warrior. I mean, and it would take 5 to 10 years to recover. A meteorologist shedding a tear. The pre-hype for Milton was like nothing anybody's ever seen. And that's what it was, hype. Now, all hurricanes are bad. There's a lot of people that suffered from it. But it isn't anywhere near what they said, of course. And I was talking with somebody, and they made some interesting points. So it got, what did it get people to do? What was Not Milk interested in with Milton? It got potentially millions of people like Kent, to at least drive 20 to 30 miles inland, if not drive 4 hours north or wherever. It got millions of people to take action or to at least leave their home. Millions. And what happened? Well, for most of those people, and I apologize because some people did get hit hard, but for the most part, it was just a hurricane. They're all bad, but it wasn't this destroyer of worlds that they said it was going to be. Most people then came back and saw that, it wasn't nearly what they said. So what happens then next time? What does that leave populations to do next time? Oh, you got to get out. Then the last time, nothing happened. We're not getting out. It then gets populations to stay put. Pause. Was that the intention? Was that the intention? Not that they tried to, via their HARP and whatever they can do, they tried to, to get it to be the big one, and through, for whatever reason, and we were all, many people, we were focusing on it mentally, just breaking up and whatever effect that could have had, and that's, to explore those sorts of things is not the purpose here. I know many of us did that. I did that myself, but it seems to me at this point, looking back, that the Not Milk didn't fail. Okay, it usually doesn't fail. It was to get people terrified, with meteorologists shedding a tear, to get millions to leave, and then to have them come back and be like pointing at the boy or girl that cried wolf. You said it would be this, or to get them jaded to it. So then a year or two from now, when it maybe really wants to deliver, let's just say, the big one, people will say, well, they told, look what happened last time. We're not going anywhere. Right? This to the Not Milk, this isn't even that sophisticated. It's first grade psychology. Because when they, like we've talked about weeks ago, because of all the millions and millions of news stories related to Al the boar type subjects and the primate charming, all that, millions of headlines, if you add them all up collectively, mentions in TV shows, and just, you don't do all that for nothing. Right? You eventually, if you're Not Milk, are going to use that to change people's lives, meaning in most cases, as usual, to take away additional freedoms, more taxes. Cars can now only be built like this, and this can only be built like that, and just more regulations and more control and more constriction and more Star Wars trash. I call it the trash compactor. I don't know if that's a Mandela effect or not, but to me, it was the trash compactor in Star Wars, whatever it's called now. That's what it wants to do to your freedoms. And it needs to deliver at some point if it really is able to impose all those laws, rules, and regulations that truly will upset people's lives. Even more than they're upset now? Can you believe that? Even more than they're upset now. Make Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 look like a walk in the park. Yeah. So they will need things to happen in the future that, everybody believes in global charming and primate change now. But they're not really, maybe most people now are not willing to have their whole lives turned upside down until they see what the big one can do. The big one then will be linked or attached. The reason for it will be primate charming. And then people will say, well, I don't want to have to do this, but we have no choice. We have to save the planet. See, Elon Musk, the reason he's talking about Mars and get your ass to Mars, of course, he doesn't believe that. Nobody can go anywhere. But the idea is it wants people to get in their head that if we don't deal with this now, we're going to be forced to go to Mars. Ew! Frank was kind of cute. Who would want to do that? That's the point of all this Mars talk, that we're going to need to take to the stars because the planet will become uninhabitable. So that's you can look at Total Recall, the movie Total Recall, and see the glass break in Schwarzenegger's helmet and his eyes popping out in the sands of Mars. And I mean, that shows you what life on Mars is like. Matt, do you think that was the purpose of Total Recall? Maybe. Not Noak's capable of that. I don't think so. But Venusville, and you're just trying to enjoy yourself in Venusville, looking for, is Melina here? I don't remember you. Melina. And there's a machine gun battle around the corner. What is that? Like the movie Brazil. They get jaded to it. Waiter, I'd like to order an appetizer. There's a machine gun battle. They get jaded to it. I don't care about that. Where's my appetizer? The movie Brazil is not for me, but there's some clever scenes. It's a weird, sick, dark humor. So they show you Venusville and they show you Schwarzenegger's eyes popping out. We know via these movies about Mars is that the purpose of The Martian, how desolate, and how it's like it gets into people's minds or implanted in people. We're going to have to live there, which doesn't make any sense because you're going to go, even if there was one blade of grass here left, one blade of grass, and like a muddy pool, maybe that's like the hoof print that Matt Damon tried to talk about lapping up, when he was trying to say how great the Texas Rangers were. And what was it? Marshall Cogburn says, "If I hear that story about you Texas brush poppers lapping up a muddy hoof print one more time." Maybe that's the point of the Matt Damon and all the other movies about Mars, to show you how lifeless it is. So if there's still one blade of grass here and one muddy hoof print to lap up like Matt Damon, it's still better than Mars. So why would whatever you're going to do there, why not just do it here? I mean, literally, it is mind-boggling how stupid the people are around us. So the point of all this Mars talk is to just get people think, well, we don't want to have to do that. So if it's about saving the planet, whatever rules they put in place, no matter how restrictive, we're going to have to accept. After 8 o'clock at night, it's like, what has been hinted at in Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. I mean, all the electricity and the grid goes off, and if you want to keep watching your TV, one of your family members has to get on the bike and power it. So the light, you can work the VCR. And, just to put it in people's minds that they know, obviously, nobody's going to Mars and no one's going to colonize anything. It can't even be done. I mean, space isn't even what they say it is. Ow! She fell in the claws. Oh, okay. Whew. Sorry. It's okay. I'll treat that with the hydrogen peroxide when we're done. If they're going to talk about it millions of times via Al the Boar and all the minions, they're going to need to deliver at some point. And was that part of the long storyboarded out reality about getting millions of people to leave because of Milton, and having it intentionally, from Not Milk's intention, be a dud, and then having people not go anywhere next time, or whenever, because it's not just for people to have their lives upended. It's not for them. Not Milk. It's not just going to be about property loss. You see what I'm saying? Maybe, but anyway, guys, I guess that's it for now. I'll wrap it up. Zara says bye, and I will definitely catch you tomorrow.